we're going to get started now with our fast pitchers. Now, these are Global Washington members that have been working for several weeks on doing a 2-minute pitch about their organization. And we've actually made it even harder. We've asked them to frame their organization alongside the Sustainable Development Goals and find out and tell people what might be surprising about your organization, about how you're reaching the goals. So we call it the SDG surprise. I would also like to thank Jack Nellinger from Capria, who came in and did a fantastic training. He does his training all over the world. So he did a training to how to do an effective pitch. So thank you all for these brave individuals that have chosen to take on this challenge. Thank you. Well, let's get started.
Who's a cyclist? Raise your hand. Maybe after this talk, you'll never look at bicycles the same again. I'm Susan Bornstein with World Bicycle Relief. Worldwide, over 1 billion people in rural areas lack access to reliable roads or affordable transportation. Distance and lack of mobility is often a barrier to accessing healthcare, education, and economic opportunity. Most of us take transport for granted, but 450 million Africans have to primarily rely on walking. Mobility is often a barrier in accessing education, especially for girls who get up before the sun to do chores. In southern Zambia, 43% of students reported being late to school due to distance. Being late often means being sent home. Rural healthcare workers can often only access a few patients per day with limited time for each patient. Distance often hampers healthcare worker retention. And farmers often have to walk long distances taking produce to market, limiting sales. We've distributed over 470,000 bicycles, especially designed for rough roads and heavy loads in the base of the economic pyramid. We work on the ground in Africa and Colombia to set up a sustainable bicycle ecosystem, including mechanics and spare parts supply chain. Our for-profit social enterprise sells to businesses and individuals, and we distribute bicycles to students and healthcare workers in need. Using our bicycles, Kenyan patient visits doubled, dairy farmers in Zambia increased deliveries 25%, and student absenteeism fell 28%. Like Intel Inside, the bicycle contributes to improved outcomes across sectors in collaboration with our partners. It's more than just a bicycle. Bicycles contribute to 9 Sustainable Development Goals. Come see me to expand partnerships and help communities mobilize and thrive around the world. Thank you.
We pledge that no one will be left behind, and we will endeavor to reach the furthest behind first. Of everything in the SDG Declaration, for me personally, this is the most powerful statement. For those of you who wish to impact people who are the furthest behind in achieving the SDGs, I have an important announcement. But first, my name is Cliff. I'm the founder of Amplio, and we've spent the last 12 years using this talking book to address the SDGs. The talking book is an audio device that provides access to knowledge for the most vulnerable communities, plus a feedback channel so their voices can be heard. It overcomes infrastructure and literacy barriers that limit the reach of other technologies. Now, many of you may know the talking book has reduced poverty and hunger. Farmers in Ghana who listened to interviews with agriculture experts learned to grow 48% more food. And some of you may know the talking book has improved health. Community health workers in Kenya played audio dramas that led to a doubling of attendance at prenatal care appointments. And a few of you may remember that we started using talking books to improve the quality of education. But did you know that our partners create messages on hygiene, accounting, climate change, and protection of natural resources? And did you know that most technology projects put women and girls at a disadvantage? Talking books are the exception because SDGs 5 and 10 underpin everything we do at Amplio. With partners in Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, and Niger, we've reached 600,000 people. But to reach 600 million people, we need partners around the world. So today, we are announcing a self-service platform that enables every one of you to integrate talking books into your programs. So if you pledge to leave no one behind, please see us at the Amplio table just outside that door. Thank you.
25 years ago, I met my husband, an Indigenous Fijian, and we have dedicated our life work to the empowerment of rural remote communities in the Pacific. Good morning. My name is Janet Lotawa, and I'm Executive Director and co-founder of Rise Beyond the Reef. What's at stake in the global climate crisis is the total abundance mindset, the connection between land, food, traditional knowledge, identity, and innovation to be self-sustaining and resilient. This is the Pacific way. The global development world often promotes a deficit mindset through siloed funding strategies and projects, acting as experts in exhausting rather than sustaining. Our work touches on SDGs 1, 5, 8, and 13. But if there's one thing I've learned over the last 6 years of work in Fiji, is that culture eats strategy and foreign frameworks for breakfast. So what if we align ourselves with culture? How will the outcomes differ? And how will it create different ways to sustain ourselves? In 2014, with $5,000, we started our Economic and Leadership Development Program. We wanted to dive into the work of addressing the high rates of gender-based violence in the Pacific, where 2 out of 3 women are abused. This is double the global average. Through our study, the women shared that they wanted to start with earning. The 350 women we work with have surpassed $500,000 in earnings this year. This is through a partnership approach, not a project. Women like Tema have increased their household income by 300%. She leads 150 women in her community, including through a very difficult disaster recovery process from a Category 5 storm in 2016. Through a community-based approach and building on the trust established through economic development, we're working with men to lead a program to address gender-based violence in their communities. This year, we are close to 80% self-sufficient as an organization. If you'd like to learn how you can help us become 100% self-sustaining and reach more women, because we have 1,000 on our wait list, please come and talk to me. Thank you.
You might not think that PepsiCo, USAID, and Egyptian potato farmers have much in common, but in fact they do. Their potato interests are aligned. They all care about strong potato yields. But with today's growing social and economic and environmental pressures, really these supply chains can be challenging to achieve. And actually these challenges are so big that even the world's largest companies cannot combat them alone. Enter SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals. Now 17 may seem like a little bit of an outlier or an afterthought. Nobody really aims to achieve partnerships. It's the means to another end, to another goal. But partnerships are incredibly powerful. My name is Kimberly, and I'm with Resonance. We're an international development and corporate sustainability firm that specializes in public-private engagement. Through our analysis, innovation, and collaboration, we help bring parties together to amplify impact. Now, when I started at Resonance earlier this year, I wondered, what is Resonance's impact, and how do we touch the SDGs? Like any good consultant, I wanted to create one visual slide to show the mapping of our SDG work. But to my surprise, as I chatted with my coworkers about what we did, nobody agreed. Everyone talked about different targets, different SDGs that we touch, sharing these partnerships are so robust that we touch them all. This is when I realized the powership of SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals. Now, in my PepsiCo example, we're helping empower women farmers. This helps increase yield, income, and with that, better access to food, education, healthcare, and more. At least 6 SDGs are touched in this one program alone. Now, while earlier I called SDG 17 a bit of an outlier, really it's the all-important enabler. Working together allows us to achieve so much more. Please come join me. You can find me at Resonance's table to continue the conversation. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Will Forrester. I am with Friendly Water for the World, but you can call us Friendly. And these are some of our people. People who are often invisible in their own countries, socially, economically, politically invisible to the impacts of a changing environment. People like the women with disabilities of APIFA, who as children were stricken with meningitis or polio, people with albinism in Tanzania who are collected into remote camps because the government cannot protect them, Kanjari people in India who are forced to develop their own language to shield themselves from others, and they have new neighbors, Rohingya refugees. People like Batwa Pygmies of southern Uganda, or former child soldiers, orphans, Ogiek tree dwellers of eastern Kenya, Maasai pastoralists, women with HIV, and victims of sexual violence. We engage and partner with these communities, sharing knowledge, training, and technology. We make available the ingredients, the basic building blocks for households and communities. Catchments and filters for clean water, permagardens for food, rocket stoves for cooking, microflush toilets for sanitation, brick-making machines for building, and other essentials that are low-cost, low-tech, and local solutions for local problems. With these basics, many of these people are achieving their own SDG 8 goal of decent work for all, creating surprising local solutions like juice stands from clean water or chicken coops from brick making. We are the voice for many voices, and I'm here today to share their stories. So please ask, because wherever you find these people, you will find us. Thank you.
We pledge that no one will be left behind. At Outright Action International, the only US-based LGBTIQ organization with consultative status at UN headquarters, this inspiring vision for the SDGs left us with one important question: what about us? I'm Katie Holtquist, Outright's West Coast Director, and I'm a lesbian who knows how incredibly fortunate I am to live in this time and place where I can legally get married, have children, and stand on a public stage speaking with all of you here today. But LGBTIQ people around the world are among the most vulnerable and still face extreme persecution, discrimination, and violence. For 30 years, Outright has been helping support and make sure we don't fall behind by supporting grassroots activists, conducting groundbreaking research, and holding governments accountable. LGBTIQ people were not explicitly covered in the Agenda 2030, but we can and should be a part of all development efforts to meet all the SDGs. Here's how Outright is doing for just one goal: ensuring healthy lives and promoting well-being for all. First, we launched an alliance with partners in the Caribbean to help frontline responders, local officials, and service providers respond to lesbian and bisexual women and trans people who face unique forms of gender-based violence. Second, we conduct research on important topics like conversion therapy, abusive practices that target LGBTIQ children and youth for who they are, and now we're launching a project to combat conversion therapy in Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa. Third, we work with local activists who are challenging anti-homosexuality laws in places like Kenya, St. Lucia, and Singapore, just 3 of the 68 countries where it is still illegal to be LGBTIQ. So when you leave here today, please don't forget us. Include us in your development work and your funding priorities. You can ask me an outright how. Stop by our table, contact me. Together we can make sure that no one is left behind. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Botch, and I lead the Women's Engagement Circle at Fair Trade USA. We give a voice and a vote to every woman around the world who's working with fair trade. So just imagine, think of a young girl that you know. She has hopes and dreams, and a young girl around the world will also have hopes and dreams. I, too, had dreams when I was growing up to be a school teacher. For you see, I didn't think I could be a business leader. And today, it could be the same for other girls. If you look today, there's 75 million women working in the US today, but only 33 women CEOs in Fortune 500 companies. Do you feel represented? So what we do is we're working with the Sustainable Development Goals. Fair trade is pushing forth gender equity, number 5. Basically, we're ensuring gender equality and empowering all women and girls around the world. And how do we do that? We're setting the standards. We give workers rights, equal pay for equal work. We empower people. We give them benefits. And we also make sure that if a woman is working on a farm, and say there's 100 women working on a farm, then we have to have equal representation in the leadership communities on that farm. That means those women are making important investment decisions. Women like Fabiola here, who lives in Mexico. She is running not only as the president of the leadership committee there, she is also running the investment committee. She's investing in school programs, scholarships, and a nutrition program. So I think that when young girls look at Fabiola today, they say to themselves, I too can be a leader. Now, fair trade is doing this around the world, and you may not be aware of it, but women are having a voice, and young girls are seeing hope. So join me, Fair Trade USA, and the Women's Engagement Circle to give hope to young girls around the world to be our future leaders. You can see me out at the table, and we'll talk more about it. Thank you so much.
Do you associate Christianity with environmentalism? I'm Chelsea Chan. I'm a Christian and I'm an environmentalist. Many people see these things as diametrically opposed, but in my undergrad, I studied international development and environmental ethics. And in my career, I've worked exclusively for Christian organizations. And I always felt like my commitment to the earth kind of left me an alien among my colleagues. Until recently, I joined an organization called Tear Fund. It was started by a group of pastors in Britain who wanted to do more than just respond. They wanted to do more than just pray. They wanted to actually respond to a crisis. So they've been doing that for 30 years, especially focused around the environment. 20 years earlier, when they started, they didn't really want to start an organization. They just did what church people do. They took up a collection. And it turns out there were a lot of church people that wanted to respond. So they called it the Evangelical Alliance for Relief Fund. But they realized Ear Fund didn't sound very good. So they called it Tear Fund by adding the T. Today, Tear Fund works in just under 50 countries. And they recently started an office in the United States. They thought we might need a little help. And you may have noticed too. So let me be clear. In the countries where many of us work, the church is a really critical institution. We see that pastors can really be powerful change agents, and they can help engage with these problems that we're championing. And we've found that even among people of different faiths, our faith is a key factor. So with Tear Fund, we're passionate about SDG 13, climate action. And we are helping farmers in Chad and Malawi adopt climate-smart agricultural practices. We are also helping Zambians invest in renewable energy. And lastly, my favorite thing, we are we're supporting entrepreneurs in green waste management. And so if you are passionate about the SDG 13, come and join me. We're building a movement of people that are passionate.
It's 2 a.m. Bing! Hi, it's Simon. I want to start a nonprofit and build fuel-efficient stoves to help my community and the environment. I haven't talked to this guy in 2 years. I said, you don't have to start a nonprofit to make an impact. So half asleep, I said, I will help you start your company. 77% of Ugandans like Simon are under the age of 30. With no jobs, entrepreneurship is a way of life. Entrepreneurship is a way of life for them. Uganda was nominated the most entrepreneurial country 2 years in a row, but they have the highest failure rates. So, but they have the, sorry, oh shit. I lost it with the camera. I'm not perfect and not, so I apologize. Lost it with the camera. Anyways, they're the most entrepreneurial country in the world, and they have the highest failure rates. And also, we're putting $130 billion of aid into the continent every year. So best intentions don't equate to impact. At Einstein Rising, we're a business development organization, and we invest into our entrepreneurs. Oh, I'm so off, and I totally apologize. We invest in our entrepreneurs. So far, we've been able to bring in almost $500,000 in capital. I'm so messed up right now. I really apologize. Anyways, should I be done? Okay, so we're working with entrepreneurs that are creating wealth by changing their communities and their environments. So we have 200 graduates so far, and they have no respect for the status quo. And, I can't believe this is happening right now. I really can't. So basically what we do is we work with these entrepreneurs. They do a really, really great job. We're here to support African solutions to African problems. I worked in Uganda and Africa for the last 10 years, and I watched organizations fail time and time again, but I watched them succeed with our entrepreneurs. So at Einstein Rising, we ask you to step back with us and beat the biggest challenges of our time and find profitable ways to do that. Thank you very much.